Just another brother with another humble question. Just another brother with another humble question.
Welcome to another episode of A Brother with Questions. I am your host, B. Man, I appreciate y'all for joining me today. It's this one gonna be sort of my wrap up taping for the year is what this recording is about to be. Just to offer some reflections about my first, I can't even call it a year, but my beginning of my podcast. Before I get started, though, let me not forget to ask you to like and subscribe to the channel. Everything is A Brother with Questions. We are on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Castbox, Spotify. So find us, like us, subscribe, share, okay? From everything I've been learning, they say the like button is key, man. You gotta like it. If you don't like it, YouTube doesn't know to push it out to other content, to push that people are watching and enjoying what they're seeing. So like, subscribe, share with your neighbor, man. But as I reflect on my beginning months of podcasting here, I'll just say, number one, I've been enjoying the ride. I've had some moments that sort of took off, at least. Had some moments that you missed. But overall, it's been everything that I hoped it to be, in the sense that I wanted to share my voice because I felt like people weren't talking to me. They were talking either over me, or they were talking to the left of me, to the right of me, but they weren't talking to me. And so I felt like there's got to be some people out there who share my, I think it's more middle ground is what I like to call it, thoughts and opinions. I'm certainly not a liberal. I definitely wouldn't call myself a progressive. I am for sure conservative on a few ideas, but I usually tend to land somewhere in the middle, in the sense that I'm open to listen to different sides, and I'm certainly not a one-way voter, which is why I registered as an independent. But I created this podcast to share that middle ground, or at least what I call my middle ground of opinions. Speak on what I think is missing in terms of the conversations we have in this country about politics from the middle. The conversations that I'll say not a lot of us are having within the Black community, and then provide encouragement to people to know that no matter where you are and no matter what's going on in the world, our lives aren't dictated by what we see around us. And so letting people know and trying to remind people as often as I can that where you are today doesn't necessarily have to mean that this is where you'll be forever. And so as I begin to reflect on that for me, as I've said multiple times on this podcast, one of the things that I think people really need to get back to, and so as we begin to transition into another year, people always make their yearly, resolutions and whatnot. One thing I'll say to close out for me on this year is you got to develop a foundation going into this new year and beyond. And so that foundation for me, I'll talk about me. That foundation for me has always been rooted in my faith, right? I'm a Christian, been a Christian all my life. And so my faith is what keeps me going, even in the times where I don't feel like going. It's my faith that reminds me that all things work together for my good. It's my faith that reminds me that there's a God who loves me so much that he doesn't want to see me fail. It's my faith that reminds me that he gave his only begotten son just so that I could have the opportunity to be in his presence one day. And so it's these kinds of foundational principles that keep me going in spite of what my surroundings say. And so as we move into 2024, I don't know what your foundation is. I would encourage everybody to build a foundation in God. I had a conversation with someone the other day, and, they believe in God, but they had found themselves lost. And so, one of the things I said, because I think for a lot of people, building a relationship with God seems like, you look at, your elders around you, for those of you who grew up around church people, or maybe you're not used to church and then you go to church and you see all these people praising God and you're like, I don't know if I can do that. Build a foundation and then, let God show you what he wants from you. And so it's so simple that it almost becomes, it seems so difficult. I said to my students today, I asked the question about names. And we were talking about naming something and why it has that name. And so in asking the question, I simply reminded them, y'all trying to make a mountain out of a molehill here, because just think about it. Most of the names people have, in terms of, and I'm not talking about, your name is B period, your name is Bob. I'm talking about the name that people associate to you based on what you do. And it's simple because they usually associate you to exactly what you do. So if you play football, then you are a football player. If you play soccer, you're a soccer player. If you work with electricity, they tend to call you an electrician. And so when you're talking about building a foundation with God, it's still just that simple. And so one of the easiest ways, I think, today to at least begin to develop a relationship is through apps. Everybody's on the phone anyway, and I don't have no endorsement, but to me, the Bible app is one of the easiest ones to do. For anybody that hasn't used it, and for all those that do, it's as simple as open it up every day. There is a 2 to 3 minute, well, there's a verse of the day, of course. Then there's a 2 to 3 minute devotional by some person. And then after that, there's some guided reading that is suggested. There's a guided prayer typically. There's a guided devotional as well. And 10 minutes later, you've gotten a scripture, you've gotten a explanation of that scripture, you've gotten a devotional to encourage you based on that scripture, and most times you've gotten a short prayer that you can say to solidify what that scripture should mean to you. And so in 10 minutes, you got a beginning conversation with God that you can now take on a 10-minute daily basis, that 10-minute conversation with God. And as you build it, just like you do in any relationship, as you get deeper and deeper into the relationship, you begin to want more, right? You go out on the first date and you think he or she is cool. And so you go, let me go on a second date, and that was cool. And then you start talking on the phone a little bit more often. Then you go on that third date, and then you find yourself hanging out even more. And the more you deal with that person, the deeper that relationship builds. God is the same way. The more you develop that relationship, the more it builds. And in today's society, it even gets even easier because, of course, there is the greatest search engine ever, I say, Google. So anything you're going through, Google it. And you'll get 15 scriptures to deal with whatever it is you're dealing with. And then from there, you can pick and choose through those scriptures that mean most to you and what that speak most to you and what you're going through. So that's my encouragement for 2024. Build your foundation, whatever that may be. I told you mine. I even told you how to get in contact with mine. But Build the foundation in something. And let that be the basis on how you begin to do everything that you do. And then from there, let it work. One thing I know about God is if you submit to him, if you submit to what he has, the purpose he has in your life, he will begin to guide your path. And as he guides your path, as the scripture said, he's not guiding you to fail. He's guiding you to success. And so as you walk along that way, it'll lead you to the place, or he'll lead you. God will lead you to the place that you need to be. And so as I wrap up this reflection, man, I just want to say thank you guys for those that have tuned in. Appreciate you coming back every week, hearing what I have to say. Get ready, 2024, man. We got more coming, more interviews, obviously more conversation. And just thank y'all, man, for keeping me going and listening to some of these crazy things that I say. And as I close, thank God. Thank God for today. Thank God for tomorrow. And thank God for the things that he's gonna do that I haven't seen yet. And until next time, I'm B. Period, man. I'm out.